collegegymvidsfan going live on YouTube, streaming live on YouTube. collegegymvidsfan going live on YouTube, streaming live on YouTube. Okay, I have my other cell phone covering up personal information, like, my social security number. And see, this is information about me. But now I'm going to read it. It says, Dear Mrs. Lejeune, Mrs. Lejeune was a counselor that tried to find employment placement for special needs disabled people in Baton Rouge. It says, thank you for your referral of Kelly Dutton, who was seen on the above date. Mr. Dutton, well, I'm sure they meant Miss Dutton, because I don't think they evaluated my father. But I think it's a misprint when they said Mr. Dutton. I'm sure they meant MISS Dutton was evaluated in order to access her intellectual and academic potential as they relate to vocational planning. She is requesting job placement assistance. And they did find me a job, although it didn't last very long. I was a bagger at courtesy clerk at Albertsons. So, I would, walk out to the parking lot, bring people's groceries out. Okay, it says background information. Miss MS, period, Dutton was born and raised in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. She is currently single and resides with her mother and father. So this isn't current information. This was like from the year 2000. And now I do not live with my parents anymore. I have not lived with my parents in 7 years. I moved out on my own in August 2015. She is currently single and resides with her mother and father. Her parents are self-employed and work for Waffles of Louisiana. She has an older brother who resides in the Baton Rouge area and indicated that the two of them get along well. Miss M.S. Dutton is a 1999 graduate of Redemptorist High School. She maintained a 3.1667 grade point average throughout her studies. So I was in all regular classes from 8th grade through 12th grade, not in special ed. She was never retained in any grades, meaning like 8th through 12th. I went to 8th grade 1 year, 9th grade 1 year, 10th grade 1 year, 11th grade 1 year, and 12th grade 1 year. But was placed in special education courses until 8th grade. So half of the year when I was in 2nd grade, I got in special ed, and then I stayed in special ed till I was in 8th grade. Till I was 16. Now, basically, if you're like a 16-year-old and you're trying to get them in all regular classes, you could put the person in like 10th grade or 11th grade, but there wasn't any room in those grades. Plus, what levels I was at in my work weren't at that grade level. So that's why they put me in 8th grade when I was 16. But was placed in special education courses until 8th grade. At that time, she was mainstreamed into a regular classroom. A history of behavioral problems was denied. Ms. Dutton is currently in her 4th semester at Baton Rouge Community College. She noted that her grades are pretty good, but has taken some developmental courses. Well, not all my courses were developmental. I mean, I took sociology, 2 sociology courses at BRCC. I took psychology there. I took a history course, but developmental courses were like developmental English, developmental reading, developmental math, She noted that she is currently enrolled in 9 hours. Although I'm not going to BRCC anymore, I haven't been to BRCC in over a decade. The last time I was at BRCC was like 2003. She has not declared a degree and was unable to report her. So, I really never got a degree. I just took a bunch of classes. Now you can see the paragraph. A 7-line paragraph. It continues on the next page. This is going to be a long video. Oh, well, there's no personal information on this page. She has not declared a degree and was unable to report her ranking or classification. She noted that in previous semesters she was maintaining a higher course loads but had maintained a C average throughout her studies at BRCC. Ms. Dutton has no history of military service. She has no formal occupational history and has no history of arrest. Miss M.S. Dutton was born as a product of a full-term pregnancy, but was called premature because her birth weight was below 5 pounds. Physicians indicated that she was born with some Down syndrome-like features, including small hands, with her small finger being curved. She also has a crease behind her knees. She is currently not being treated for any medical conditions. She does take birth control pills to help regulate her menstrual cycle. Although this was in 2000, and even when I was in high school, took birth control pills, but I don't take birth control pills anymore. And I don't get periods anymore. I hardly ever get them. Probably now that I'm in my 40s, this was when I was in my 20s when these evaluations by psychiatrists. So, I mean, I guess you could say I I have been professionally diagnosed with autism, because in the year 2013 they removed PDDNOS from the diagnosis. So the DSM-5 does not mention Asperger's. It does not mention, they took away Asperger's, they took away PDDNOS. So people that had been previously diagnosed with PDDNOS, like I was, professionally diagnosed by a psychiatrist, actually two psychiatrists, Dr. Taylor, Dr. Vincent. So, I mean, I've been professionally diagnosed with autism. But like in 2013, if, I went to psychiatrist to be tested, I would have been given an ASD diagnosis, because people that were previously diagnosed PDDNOS were given an ASD evaluation. A history of drug use was denied. Miss Dutton denied any symptoms of depression, anxiety, or psychosis, and has never received any counseling for mental health treatment. And I did note that I do drink alcohol on occasion. Back when I was in my 20s, I did. I still do in my 40s. Probably drink it now, more now, because I'm on my own and I'm not living with my parents, Okay, these were the tests that were administered. You can pause the video if you want to read them. I'll go on to the next paragraphs. Behavioral observations. I have to put my thing back in the holder. I'm tired of holding it. Okay, behavioral observations. Miss Dutton presented for testing as casually dressed 22-year-old Caucasian female. She was somewhat overweight. They shouldn't have just said somewhat overweight. They should have said obese. But appeared approximately her stated age. Miss Dutton, MS Dutton, was very abrupt in her interactions. She seemed to have poor social comprehension skills and was noted to say whatever came to mind. I do that. Even when I was in high school, I was always speaking my mind. She was very talkative. She was small in stature and had small hands. She maintained poor eye contact throughout testing, particularly when uncomfortable with the topic at hand. Miss Dutton, MS Dutton, was noted to interact appropriately with the examiner, although her interpersonal skills were seen to be somewhat of a limitation. MS Dutton appears to have poor judgment and insight into her behaviors. No obvious comprehension or communication difficulties were noted. Miss Dutton did have some deficits in regard to fine motor skills, but her gross motor skills were appropriate for the purpose of testing. She was alert and oriented during the course of the evaluation. Now I'll show you the paragraph. Okay, now here's a test. For some reason, I can't get this thing to switch. Okay, I got it. Test results, like, here's the verbal scale. It's high, like 9, 10, and 6. Arithmetic was the lowest at 6. Vocabulary was the highest, 10. Information, second highest, 9. Okay, here's performance scale. Picture completion, 4. Block design, 4. Digit symbol, 5. So digit symbol was the highest. Second highest was a tie between picture completion and block design. So like I was at high school level for reading, spelling, and arithmetic. Like standard score 94 for reading, 99 and 99 for arithmetic and spelling. Arithmetic is another word for math. Like 47 percentile for math and spelling, or arithmetic and spelling. 34 for reading percentile. So that was like my downfall, reading. But at high school level for all of them. Now people that have intellectual disability, also known as retardation, they can't get past the 6th grade in any level. Okay. Content of her conversation was clear and logical, and there was no evidence of tangentiality or loosening of associations. No remarkable behaviors were noted in response to apparent frustration and or failure. It is believed that she was generally exerting her best efforts during the course of the evaluation, and the current results represent an accurate assessment of her functioning. The problem behavior inventory was administered to assess which areas Ms. Dutton is currently experiencing the most difficulty. She noted problems with occasional headaches and regular consumption of caffeinated beverages, like, soda. I drink diet soda. She noted a recent period of weight gain and indicated that she often feels overweight. She noted that she moves slowly, but indicated that does not bother her. Now, there are things that bother me when people make noises around me. It can bother me. Miss Dutton also reported that she has problems losing things, which I still do today. This was when I was like 22, 23 years old. These tests were done on me. And have difficulty controlling her temper. The bender was administered in order to evaluate Miss Dutton's perceptual organizational ability. Miss Dutton demonstrated some significant fine motor deficits and poor spatial judgment. The Vineland Adaptive Behavior Scales were administered to assess Miss Dutton's adaptive functioning. Her mother, Cheryl Dutton, served as informant. The following results were obtained. So this is like communication, daily living skills, socialization. So even though I was 22 years old, I was way behind on those. Okay. Now, be able to see. Okay, communication. A standard score 57, 0.2, low. It's at 10 years, 4 months. So I was at a 10-year-old communication level when I was 22. Daily living skills got a standard score of 46, below 0.1%, low. 7 years, 2 months. 7 years, 8 months for socialization, a 49 score, 3 points higher than socialization, below 0.1. Adaptive behavior, composite, 47, below 0.2, low, 8 years, 5 months. Now this page doesn't mention PDDNOS, but I think more pages over they do. I'm going to take a break on this video and get my dog's food out. I'll come back. It's 4:48, 12 minutes to 5. Okay, the above scores reflect significant impairment in regard to Ms. Dutton's adaptive functioning. In addition, her mother noted significant maladaptive behaviors. She indicated that Ms. Kelly is overly dependent and withdraws from others. She bites her fingernails frequently and maintains poor eye contact. Mild difficulty in regard to eating disturbances, avoiding work, grinding her teeth impulsivity, and attentional difficulties, and temper outbursts were noted. A lack of consideration, lying, and running away were also indicated. Well, running away, that would be like elopement. That's common in autism. MS Dutton is a 22-year-old Caucasian female referred for assessment of her intellectual and academic potential as they relate to vocational planning. Ms. Dutton is requesting job placement assistance. However, during the evaluation, Ms. Dutton indicated that she is not interested in obtaining employment. A significant discrepancy was noted between Ms. Dutton's verbal and performance IQs, with her performance IQ falling almost 2 standard deviations below her verbal IQ. Ms. Dutton appears to have a relative strength in regard to rote and memorized skills. Her academic performance on the WRAT-3 test indicated strengths in regard to reading, spelling, and arithmetic. But when asked to reason through problems, Ms. Dutton had significant difficulty. Ms. Dutton was labeled at birth as premature due to low birth weight and presents with a number of Down syndrome-like features. While Ms. Dutton's intellectual functioning is not suggestive of the diagnosis of Down syndrome, clearly she is affected by some form of developmental disorder which has affected her social comprehension and ability to relate with the public. In terms of vocational planning, Ms. Dutton is limited in that she is unable to handle extensive amounts of physical work. She lacks coordination and is unaware of appropriate social behaviors. In addition, Ms. Dutton is not able to maintain friendships and is not aware of how she looks to others. Her insight and judgment are poor, and she requires reminders in order to carry out day-to-day personal care and hygiene. Ms. Dutton would benefit from some vocational aptitude and interest testing to help her in focusing on a career that is in line with her overall abilities and interests. Ms. Dutton indicated an interest in childcare, but clearly does not have the judgment that is necessary to work in such a position. Actually, when my nephew was 3, my parents were out of town and my brother brought him to my parents' house and I babysat him for several hours, and yeah, I even changed his poopy diaper. Now, like, this page gives DSM-4 diagnostic impressions. Now, the DSM-4 is outdated, so currently it's the DSM-5. I'm going to take a little break to, put my dog's food in here. But, probably childcare wouldn't be suited for me working in a daycare center because the children might cry, a lot of toddlers, babies, and probably give me sensory issues. Okay, so here is my Axis 1 according to the DSM. I have a 299.80. It's pervasive developmental disorder. PDDNOS would be a typical autism. So today, after 2013, since PDDNOS was no longer a valid diagnosis, I would have been given an ASD diagnosis. So Axis 2, V62.89, borderline intellectual functioning. So I'm not retarded, because borderline intellectual functioning when you have an IQ between 70 and 85. So my verbal score was like 89. And then, 2 other scores lower than that gave me an overall IQ of 76. I have Down syndrome-like physical features, no reported medical conditions. See, axis 4, lack of social contact, poor adaptive functioning, inaccurate perception of personal strengths and weaknesses. I don't know what this means. Axis 5, GAF 50. I don't know what that means. And see, Alan Taylor signed it. He was the psychiatrist that diagnosed me. Now, these papers are Dr. Vincent, another psychiatrist. So this time when I was diagnosed and had the evaluation, I was 23, not 22. I'm going to take another break to get my box of food. Oh, maybe I shouldn't. It's 4:58. P99.80 is pervasive developmental disorder, PDDNOS. Okay, I'm going to continue. Now it's 35 minutes into the stream. Okay, now this is from Dr. Vincent. Background information and reason for referral. Kelly is 23-year-old Caucasian female who has remained with her parents throughout her life. She was born with Down syndrome-like features, including small hands and feet, short stature, and round face. Kelly graduated from Redemptorist High School in 1999. She maintained a 3.1 grade point average throughout her studies. She was never retained a grade. So when I was in 8th grade, went one time, 9th grade one time, 10th grade one time, 11th grade one time, 12th grade one time. Half of the year of 2nd grade, I was in regular classes, but then in the middle of 2nd grade, moved to special ed, stayed there until in special ed till 8th grade. Okay. At that time, she mainstreamed into a regular classroom in 8th grade, and it says she was placed in special education classes until 8th grade. Kelly reports that she is currently enrolled in Baton Rouge Community College and has not received a grade below a C. The Welshler Adult Intelligence Scale, the third, was administered to Kelly on 10/00, which would be October 2000. She achieved a verbal IQ of 89 and a performance IQ of 64, which yielded a full scale IQ of 76. So that's why they were saying I was borderline intellectual functioning instead of retarded, which yielded a full IQ of 76. This placed her overall intelligence performance in the borderline range. Okay, now this is about my, job that I had at Albertsons, this first paragraph. So this, the autism and PDDNOS affected me at Albertsons. I only worked at Albertsons 6 weeks in the year 2000. Kelly has participated in vocational training, which included obtaining a job as a bagger at Albertsons grocery store. It was really a courtesy clerk, so I didn't just stand at the end of the counter and bag groceries. I'd walk out to the parking lot and stuff like that. Let's see. It says Kelly worked with a job coach while employed by Albertsons. According to Kelly's mother, the job coach indicated that Kelly had problems with being too talkative with the customers and not understanding which checkers needed her help. She would often go to assist a checker who already had a bagger rather than go to a checker who did not have a bagger. At the end of this training, it was felt by Kelly, her parents, and her job coach that she did not currently possess the skills necessary for this type of occupation. Now the next paragraph is about my mother's pregnancy. According to Mrs. Dutton, MRS Dutton, married woman, Kelly was born as a product of a full-term pregnancy, but was labeled premature because her birth weight was below 5 pounds. She has no current health problems. She takes birth control pills. to help regulate her menstrual cycle. Although this was like 2000, 2001, I don't take birth control anymore. I'm in my 40s. I don't even get my period anymore. Probably been through menopause. She denied any symptoms of depression, anxiety, or psychosis, and has never received any counseling for mental health treatment. Now another paragraph. Kelly's mother also discussed increasing difficulties in their relationship over the course of the past couple of years. She states that Kelly is resistant to corrective feedback and often fails to fulfill her household responsibilities. Also, when Kelly becomes upset with her mother, she will bite her hand, often breaking the skin and causing bleeding. Kelly became agitated with her mother when she began discussing her hand biting and initially denied doing it. However, after encouragement and further discussion, she acknowledged that she does bite her own hand when she is angry or frustrated. Maybe that's a stem, me biting my own hand. I started doing it when I was a little kid, when I was like 2, 3 years old. Kelly behavioral observations. Kelly presented for testing as a casually dressed 22-year-old Caucasian female. She is short in stature, moderately overweight, and buxom, but appears her stated age. She was accompanied by her mother. Kelly and her mother arrived early for their appointment, and Kelly immediately began conversing with the other clients in the waiting room. Her interactions were mildly inappropriate in that she asked personal questions and volunteered more personal information than what is socially acceptable. During the interview, Kelly was cooperative and pleasant to the examiner. However, she spoke to her mother through clenched teeth and contradicted her several times. She made minimal eye contact throughout the interview and was hesitant to divulge information that she felt embarrassment about. She did answer all questions in what is believed to be a truthful manner. Okay, so Dr. Curtis Vincent, another psychologist, diagnosed me with PDDNOS 299.80 Diagnostic Manual 4, V62.89 borderline intellectual functioning. So borderline intellectual functioning is IQ between 70 and 85. My IQ was 76. Axis 3, down-like syndrome-like features physical features, no reported medical conditions. Axis 4, poor adaptive skills, occupational problems, family discord, inappropriate social interactions. And Axis 5, GAF current equals 45. I don't know what that means. My adaptive functioning was equivalent to someone that is 11 years, 5 months. I guess that's what that 11/5 meant. Now here's like more scores, like communication, 131, standard score, raw score was 131, standard score 92, band of error 95%, 78 to 106, percentile rank 30, it was adequate. Age to like a 16-year-old. Now the next one's lower, like a 10-year-old. Daily living skills. Raw score 146. Standard score 65. Socialization next. Raw score 91. 48 standard score. 0.1, it's low, ages 6 years, 11 months. So these are way behind, me being a 22, 23-year-old at the time. So communication, receptive, was adequate, ages 7. Expressive was moderately low, 11 years. Written was adequate, 18 years. Daily living skills, personal, raw score 75, low, age 10 years. Domestic daily living skills 20, that was low, 7 years. Adequate for the next one, community living skills 51. Play and leisure time was low at a 9-year-old level. Interpersonal relationships 40 was the score, low, 5 years, 8 months. Coping skills, that was 21 score, low, 6 years, 6 months. I'm going to have to end this soon. I think someone was trying to call me on my phone. It's probably my mom. She's on the train coming back from Wisconsin. She'll be back tomorrow. I gotta cover up this Social Security number. So this is Dr. Vincent's. And here are all these scores. I already went over them. I'm about to end this live stream, and I'll probably call my mom back soon. So basically, I was trying to avoid having my parents' address shown on this video. or my social security number. Social security number should never be put on YouTube. Because, that could lead to identity theft. So this video was almost an hour long. It was 51 minutes. Usually when I'm doing National Day videos, they're not this long. So I am on the autism spectrum. Because if I had been diagnosed rather than 2001, back then they gave you diagnosis of PDDNOS, but people that were previously diagnosed with PDDNOS in 2013 and beyond given ASD diagnosis.